one story, crypto bubbles is saying another one, and Bitcoin price action is giving us a different flavor. Wow. Who could have thought that Bitcoin was gonna go right down to about $60,000? Not even about. Bitcoin went down to $60,000, and this left so many out there panic, wondering what's the future of Bitcoin gonna be like, or crypto? Is it because of Epstein? Because of this or that? Everyone is saying what they must say, to give reasons why Bitcoin is doing what Bitcoin is doing. But I have a different story. And the story I have is always be the same story, which is market structure tells everything. Market structure is boss. And if you understand the structure on higher time frame when it's broken, then you understand why the lower time frame is in chaos. Today, what I want us to look at is where we should be looking at Bitcoin this week, the weekly buyers. From today to Friday, let's see key levels where that Bitcoin should go to, and respect, or if say Bitcoin isn't able to go to those key levels, what will invalidate that? This is what I want us to look at. And we're gonna look at altcoins too. We look at crypto bubbles as usual. Look at different key zones that we are gonna pay attention to make better decisions as we go into the market this week. You are welcome once more. This is a bit on crypto. Yeah, I create content to help you understand what goes on in the crypto market. I'm all about educating you on market structure. No financial advice, no signal. I'm not that guy to tell you go buy this because of that. No, no. So subscribe early. Let's get into this. Let's analyze this bad boy and see what we got here today. So now we're gonna look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, gold, silver, and some couple of altcoins. And as I mentioned, what I want you to understand is what I want you to understand are the key levels that we should be looking at this week. And from those key levels, we are going to determine our range, and from those ranges, we're going to determine point of interest. Point of interest are the areas where you start looking for that buy opportunities. Okay. Now, this is the same chart we have been talking about all day, all day. And you can see right back then from the weekly setup, I mentioned to you guys that this was the area that price was supposed to hold this zone here. But price break this zone, which was okay. It was expected because price was already like around this area rejecting. So it was expected that price was gonna do something like that, but not really go right down to about to $60,000, right? And if we look back to what we discussed in our previous videos, I mentioned that because we are back in this range, this is a range. We have to mark our range now. Where we are focusing on now, guys, is are these levels. We mark these levels properly for us because this is where we're gonna be looking for that opportunities to move forward with the market. So these are the zones that high, and this low below price. Let me mark it. This low here. Yeah. So these are the zones we are going to be looking at throughout this week. Let me make it to be a little bit wider for you, so you're going to see properly what I'm trying to do here. Now, the reason why I marked this, I explained to the previous video. The reason why I marked this, you know, it was because of the fact that this zone back then, I'm just gonna create a range here to make it more easier. Right? I'm gonna create a range here. Let me just create this range from here to this level. Yeah. So this is the range. Yeah, this is the range. From that level to this level, this area has been a strong support zone when price was above it. And now that price have broken below it, it should act as a strong resistance level. Now, if we take that back there, we should expect price to actually reject around this area, and this price point is around is within the range 73,000 to $78,000. So this is the range. I'm gonna take off this and explain to you guys how I came about this zone. I'm gonna do it back again. Yeah. So let me take off this line here. Now we have this zone here. This zone. Price wick down here, you know, swipe all of this liquidity. Price went into a decent zone. I will say that if I have to bring in the volume profile here, let me not say if I have to bring it. Let me bring in the volume profile here. Let's see like what really happened here. Let's see the whole of this move. Let's see where we have yeah. Let's see where price hit. But if we look at this currently based on the volume profile, let me target also this level here. No, not this one. But it's okay. I think I'm gonna target this vector candle here. Yeah. So actually where I want us to look at is this level here where we have the value area low. So I'm gonna mark this to the future. Or let me mark this to the future. Let's see what we got there. You can see how price rejected exactly around that area. Wow. Wow. So now, based on the volume profile, okay, it's good that we are marking these ranges now. And then this is a major zone we want to see price break and close above. So now we can just mark our range here. Do the same down here, the same up here, the value area high, mark it. So provided we are above this value area high, it's good sign, right? It's good sign. It's good sign that we are above that value area high. It means we're gonna attempt this level here. So the whole of this level should be the level that we stay above multiple times. Because if we stay around this area multiple times, then we can just easily drop down a little bit, still be in the same range, and maybe bounce from this POC in the middle. So we can just mark this other zone here as a POC in the middle for reference in the future, right? I'm gonna take this to the future and change the color to red, so it will be like the POC. Now, this should be the area where you see price stay. So if price stays above this area, then it's a good thing because we can easily move back upward. But the zone that we want to see price stay above this week, at least the target this week, to an extent, I think we should see Bitcoin go to about about $70,000. That's where sorry about $75,000. That's where I think Bitcoin should be going toward this week. And if we break $75,000, then we should be on a good foot to target, let's say, this value area low here at around $86,000 for Bitcoin. But if say we're gonna do that, this whole area will be an important zone here. We can mark this other zone, the good demand area, demand and supply area, that we can easily say price is gonna gravitate around this area here, up, down, up, down, up, down. But again, we need to see price reclaim this with high volume, as I mentioned last week. So overall, the bias for this week is bearish. Why? We have broken structure. Price have changed character and break of structure as well. Based on market structure, you can see clearly we break this level here with high, I would say high volume, and we are now here still above the value area high based on previous price action. But we break structure, no doubt. Even though we are still like you know, price is still behaving as if it still got some momentum left inside. you know. But yeah, that's the bias for the week. We is bearish. We can easily drop right down to 60K again, and we can go right up to 75K based on market structure. right? So right up to 79 or 78K based on market structure. Now, going back down to the daily time frame, let's see the how I came about. Like, okay, today I was looking for a range. I wanted a range to trade, right? Because ever since Pride made this huge move to the upside, we haven't really seen any break below this level, like below and recover all of these vector candles here. So what I was trying to look at is the key. Sorry, is the midpoint of this like of this I would say, what day was this? That was on Friday. This Friday candle that closed right up to about, let's see, how many 21,600. So I marked the, like, from the bottom of this week, not like of this candle, not the week, the candle from the start of the candle. Let me take it back so you see how I did it. So um I mark it there from that red zone, which is the POC. Because if we look at now on the daily time frame, we're gonna see that that POC that we mark, price actually how price actually retest that area twice. One, so you can see there. So I mark that area and this other area here, right? This let me take it back to the future and make it proper so we see what I'm trying to do here. So I mark the just the body of the candle, not the wick, just the body of the candle. Now I took it to the future, and then I marked the midpoint of that move. The midpoint is this line here. I'm gonna explain to you guys why I am doing this. So usually, when the market is bullish on any time frame, and you see a huge move like this, which is a vector candle, usually price tend to stay above the midpoint of that move. So if price keeps staying above the midpoint of that move, it means there's high chances that they can easily continue upward, you know, to the upside. There's high chances. So looking at this now, it already create a range that we want to see price, like a level that we want to see price stays above. And if price stays below that level, then automatically it will mean that we can easily drop down, like more downward to, let's say, 50 or $49,000. So if we look at this now on the 4 hours time frame, we're gonna see it more clearly. Right. Based on this time frame, you can see that we there was a vector candle here, right? And this vector candle was accompanied by huge volume down here. And ever since, we have been rejecting this zone. Now, if we look back then, which zone is this? This area. If you look at b- um look at previous price action, you're gonna see that this zone, actually, this candle here, actually caused this move down here. So maybe that's the reason why we saw price, we cover just this vector candle here on the 4 hours time frame. And usually when you see price recover all of the vector candles, um we might expect some sort of pullback if price is not able to continue upward. And in this case, we got that pullback on the 4 hours time frame, and it wasn't really that significant. There wasn't any real volume. Yeah, you can see we haven't been seeing volume yet in the market. So we cannot really say this movement, back then during the weekend, it was something serious because there wasn't any volume. So from today Monday, um we should be looking at the volume now to be real, right? To be real volume. So if we now drop down to the 1 hour time frame, you see that this range that we drew, right? Because this is the value area low based on that range we drew. So this is the value area high. No, okay, this is the value area high, and this is the POC. Yeah, and this range here is that midpoint that I drew. This midpoint. So based on this time frame now, what I was expecting was on the 1 hour time frame, price should stay above this range. And if I see price break below this line with high volume, then it's going to invalidate any trade that I'm looking for around this area, right? So we can see price, break, but we want to see it close back above with high volume, right? Price can break below, yeah, but I want to see it break and close above, yeah, with high volume. And if that's the case, we should be looking at around the 78 to like 73 to 78 thousand price point or before any measure or anything else. That's what I'm looking at for this week. But I still think that we can drop a little bit more downward. Yeah. Because if we see, let me zoom out. Yes, we see something. Yeah. Look at this movement. Yeah. Look at this rejection. This rejection. Yeah. Look, this was a bearish, like I would say, stopping volume candle, right? You see, it swept liquidity above, right, went right up to $72,000, swept the liquidity above price, then immediately dropped down, and ever since we haven't seen price going back there. So if we are to see Bitcoin continue, then we need to see candles close around this area. You know, if we start seeing full candles closing around this area here, then it's a sign that they want to continue with price right up to about $75,000. So yeah, these are all possibilities. Okay. Now let's look at another metrics here, which is the USDT dominance. I've talked about this multiple times, and it's good we look at it again. This is USDT dominance on the weekly setup, and what I want us to pay attention here on this weekly setup is this stopping volume candle here on the weekly setup. You can see price clearly rejected that 8.5%. Even though I was looking at 8%, but I didn't expect price to, do this. And you can see the same way Bitcoin price action is on the weekly setup. You can see here, this is the US dominance. The way it is the same way Bitcoin price is on the weekly setup. If you go to the Bitcoin price, you see down there, you can see the same thing. Look at this, body, this body and the wick here. And if you look at USD dominance, you're gonna see the same thing. Look at this body and the wick here. So these are just inverse, like they move the same way. So if say you analyze USD dominance properly, you can just trade Bitcoin. And if you do it well with Bitcoin, you can just trade altcoin. That's why these are my major charts that I look at most of the time to understand where the liquidity is at. So if the liquidity is gonna be more into USDT, then I know all coins are not gonna do well, except for some few that maybe are gonna be outperforming Bitcoin during that period in time. So you have to understand all of this so to give you an urge as to like what you should be expecting from the entire market, right? Because you see Bitcoin dominance not doing well, US dominance not doing well, and then you might as well start looking at some altcoin. Okay, maybe altcoins are not going to be doing well too. So this is what I'm trying to say, right? Now, looking at Bitcoin dominance, also you see that on the weekly setup, we price made this. I was expecting it like a full candle to close around this range. It would have been confirmation of bullish, bearish engulfing candle on the weekly setup. Would have given altcoins more power, more strength to just break and close below this area. Yeah, or go around this 55.81%. You know. So yeah, guys, there's a lot that is going on. See, we have had multiple rejection here for Bitcoin dominance, and this is playing towards the alt season, or I think is paving the way for an altcoin season. But if the trend of Bitcoin is reducing, dropping down as the entire market is dropping, instead of if like I expect Bitcoin dominance to go up, why the entire market drops. But Bitcoin dominance is dropping with the entire market, which means altcoins might be onto something here, you know. So let's just be patient. Like this week is gonna define a lot of stuff. For us, I think so. By the end of this week, we are gonna see or get more clarification as to where that we like, as to what direction price might be heading towards. So but we just need to mark our key levels and wait for price to get there, see how price react to those key levels. From there, we can start making decisions to either buy more or just stay out of the market. You know. Now, I want to look at Ethereum real quick. Let's see. Ethereum, to an extent, I would say that it has come to a fair value gap around this area. Yeah, it's a fair value gap here. You can see. I can say, yeah, this should be a fair value gap somehow. One, two, three. Well, not really. Well, but I'll just say it's a fair value gap because you can see there was a gap here somehow. We can call it fair value gap or whatever gap you want to call it. There was a gap here for Ethereum, and price had to fill that gap. So whatever happens, we want to see price stays in this range. You know, so there's a lot of weeks to go for us to see price matured again and see. Yeah, it took how many weeks for price to do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, like 2 months after this Ethereum dip. For Ethereum to dip again, then so it might take another 2 months, right, for Ethereum to recover. But within that 2 months, you can get some trades, trading on the lower time frame, right? Now going down to the daily time frame is the same thing with Bitcoin. You can see here, if I have to mark it, I'm gonna mark also the midpoint, but just do the same thing I did with Bitcoin, and you're gonna have your range. From there, you can see the target right up there, around this area here with the target, and I think like with Ethereum, price is gonna do the same thing as well. Let me say, like, this is a zone here, right? This is the zone here. We can see price do something like this, weak, then continue to the upside, right up there. You know, yeah. I mean, that's a chance that price is gonna do that. Or there's high chances that, or high probability that price will do that. You know, so Ethereum, I think, is reacting to what Bitcoin is doing. That's just how I see it now, based on current price action. Or yeah, even if you look at previous price action, you see that Ethereum has been playing the same game as Bitcoin. You can see here Ethereum moving sideways, Bitcoin moving sideways. Bitcoin break key levels, Ethereum breaking key levels as well. So yeah, these are birds of the same feathers. They are flying. They are flying towards the same direction. You cannot deny the fact that Ethereum is moving alongside Bitcoin, or reacting to Bitcoin price action. All right. So whatever we have mentioned about Bitcoin, the same thing with Ethereum. You know, you can drop down to the 4 hours time frame to understand more how price is gonna play out. You can see what we should expect to happen here is at least change of character. So at least we want to see Ethereum stays above. Let me say at least 100. Sorry, $2,200. If we see Ethereum stays above that price point, then there's high chance it's gonna go straight up there to about $2,800 for Ethereum. Yeah, the price action for Ethereum is wide, or we can go right up to 2,500 or $2,800. That's the range. If we're gonna go straight from here up here, up straight from here, then at least this vector candle should be the first target here. Then after that, it will be this other vector here, which is gonna be around the $2,800 price point. You know, yeah, I don't know how you're looking at it, but this is what I'm seeing based on current price action. And if we reject this zone, we're gonna go straight back to about 1,500 or $1,700 per Ethereum. The good news here is that we are starting to see more vector candles appearing here with a little bit of volume as compared to the previous um, volume bars. You can see clearly here. So this is some sort of like cool for um Ethereum. If this 4 hours candle is gonna close as an engulfing candle, it's gonna be good news for Ethereum for this week. I think so. Now, talking about Solana, right? You see that Solana also, even though like if you look at the weekly setup of Solana, you see that we can easily come right down to $44,000 for Solana. This is very, very possible. But based on where we are, I would say that there's still some chances for us to, continue going back to the upside. It's going to depend on how the investors are looking at current investing environment, or yeah, current environment. If say they want to invest, or they want to wait until price is going to settle down somewhere reasonable for them, like at a discount, more discount on price levels. I think if Bitcoin is going to continue to go down to about 48, $55,000, then Ethereum is going to go to 40,000 to $40. I think that should be the target for this week. I think Ethereum should recover to at least $100 somehow, you know, or $111, or maybe just at $104. But at least it should go to about 100 and something dollars, or can go right down to 51 dollars. You know, so that's what I'm looking at here for Ethereum, for Solana this week. You know, how should you trade this short term? What you want to see and the target. So short term, if we break this zone here with high volume, this should be your entry on the higher time frame. Okay, so this is how price is gonna play out. If see we see any break around this level, so if you see any break around this level, what you ought to do is drop down to the lower time frame. If you see any break like this, when you drop down to the lower time frame, like a 1 hour time frame, you're gonna see that there should be a fair value gap, other blocks, something that's gonna be as an imbalance that will guide you towards that entry. And if you do get the entry, the target should be this vector candle here, this vector candle, you know, this one and this one. Those are the targets. If say you are to like buy here, first of all, grab your profit around this area here, this zone, this level. From there, you can look at this other level here. You know, so yeah, that's what I think might happen with Solana, right? But if say price keep rejecting this level here, then we can easily go straight to the 51 or $40 price point. You know, going to gold and silver. Let's see. First of all, silver is up about 7% today. Yeah, actually, um, for us to like silver look a little bit bullish and bearish at the same time. Like if we look at silver on the daily setup, right, you see that what price has done here, you know, has created more room for price to consolidate somehow, let's say some time before we are gonna see any other major move here. But I'm still looking at this area, this demand area, to be an important area where they can either drag price down before continuation. I still think that. I still think there is gonna be some sort of like something to drive price around this area just for them to bring it back up there. So we can easily see silver go to the 55 or $50 price point. And looking at gold, I would say that gold still have a downside. Why? Um, if we have to look at based on how I analyze the market, bringing in like in key levels or key zones, what I'm gonna do here right now is this. I'm going to create a range here, and this range is gonna be based on the high and low of this daily candle, like the low of the candle to the high of the candle, right? Not the week. So I'm gonna take this tool to mark that area from here up there. I'm gonna take it to the future, and what I'm looking at is this midpoint. You can see this midpoint in the middle, the point in the middle. So you can see that price has been gravitating around that area, this area. And if we see multiple rejection here below price, below this level, then they want to continue to mark price to the downside. And in this case, they can go right down to 3,900 or 4,160 dollars price point for Bitcoin. Sorry, for gold, not Bitcoin. Wow, Bitcoin going down to 4,000. The whole world will collapse. Everyone will be crying, my Bitcoin, my Bitcoin, my Bitcoin. No, it's not Bitcoin. It's gold. Now, yeah, I think to an extent, um, I've given you guys the flavor, like what I'm expecting for Bitcoin this week. We look at Solana and saw how Solana is reacting to Bitcoin. The same thing with gold. Not no, not gold, of course, but gold is still reacting with Bitcoin. The same way with Bitcoin. I want to say Solana, Ethereum, all of them are reacting the same way with to Bitcoin. And looking at also the possibility of an alt season, I think is near. We might see an altcoin season soon. Looking at what um Bitcoin dominance and USDT dominance is doing, we can easily see Bitcoin altcoin bear market soon. Soon. Guys, I'm gonna be doing this live stream every like the same time, you know, not like the usual time, but I'm gonna be doing it in the evening. So if you guys waited for me and couldn't see me, know that tomorrow, not tomorrow, on Wednesdays, you should like be available this time. I'm gonna be live on Wednesday and Friday every week. I'm live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's Monday market open, Wednesdays midweek reversal, and Friday is gonna be helping you to get out from the market before they dump it on you. So this is what I'm gonna be doing every week. Then on Thursday and Tuesday, upload some evergreen content for you guys. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. On Wednesday, we're gonna follow up looking at those key levels, like what price we're gonna do tomorrow. On Wednesday, we're gonna see whether there should be a midweek reversal. If not, then on Thursday, we'll see whether there should be something as well. If not, then maybe this week is gonna be a dumb week or a week of no volume. All right, okay, guys. See you and take care.